are you?
There's something about
Yeah, we will. I don't know if I should say criminal or not. Because thank you. Just trying to figure it out. It's not in the active available yet. Which Blue Halo seems to be doing better in
Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin momentarily. As a courtesy, we ask that all folks with your cell phones please turn off the electronic devices or set to silent mode. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of Lieutenant General Sean A. Gainey, Commanding General of the United States Army Space and Missile Defense Command, United States Army Forces Strategic Command, welcome to today's ceremony. Today, we gather to observe the promotion of Colonel William M. Parker to the rank of Brigadier General. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party, the playing of our national anthem, and the invocation given by Chaplain Major Northway.
Good morning. Invite you to pray with me in your hearts as I pray. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, Thank you for this time you have blessed us with to show gratitude to you and to your gift of leadership to Colonel William and Mrs. Carrie Parker, their children, Dixie, Billy, and Patsy, and all their loved ones, to support them in this day of recognition of what you have placed in their hearts and purposed for such a time as this. As we look forward with great expectation to what you will continue to do in and through our leader and his family in their time among us, may they each know the full support of those they lead and serve as we continue together in our time of celebration for the gift of their investment among our team. May each of us be strengthened with your joy, peace, grace, and love, emboldened for each of our entrusted missions. It is in your holy presence, I pray. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, Sergeant William Boner from the Fort Sill Artillery Half Section is presenting a bouquet of red roses to Mrs. Carrie Parker, single red roses to his daughters Pixie and Cassie, rose to his mother Diane, and a rose to his mother-in-law Ruth Bennett. At this time, we would like to extend a warm welcome to the following distinguished guests. Lieutenant General Sean Gainey, Commanding General, United States Army Space and Missile Defense Command. Major General Phil Brooks, Commanding General, United States Army Fire Center of Excellence in Fort Sill, and his wife Lori. Command Sergeant Major Neil Sartain, Command Sergeant Major, United States Army Fire Center of Excellence in Fort Sill. The Honorable Stan Booker, Mayor, City of Lawton. Colonel Glenn Henke, Commandant, United States Army Air Defense Artillery School, and Deputy Commanding Officer of the United States Army Fire Center of Excellence in Fort Sill, and his wife Catherine. Command Sergeant Major Giancarlo Macri, Command Sergeant Major, United States Army Air Defense Artillery School. Brigadier General Richard Holy, Army National Guard, Deputy Commanding General, Air Defense Artillery. Brigadier General Rory Crooks, Director, Long Range Precision Fires Cross-Functional Team, and his wife Lisa. Brigadier General Randy McIntyre, United States Army, retired. Colonel Promotable William Parker, Director, Air Missile Defense, Cross-Functional Team, and his wife Carrie. The last time you hear like that, sir. Colonel Michael Bearfield, Chief of Staff, United States Army, Fire Center of Excellence in Fort Sill, and his wife Carrie, and our frontier friends, Colonel Retired Nate Slade and Mrs. Janie Billingsley. We would also like to welcome all of Colonel Parker's families, members, close personal friends that are here to share in this very special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Sean Gainey.
Well, there's nothing like always jumping right into this, and I know Bill would like it no other way than to get started and pin on that star. Yeah, it was interesting this morning as I was perusing around the post. The post looks good there, Commander. I saw them sizing up your sign as they were getting ready to take the colonel off and put on Brigadier General. Even though, a month ago, you should have already put it on there. But Bill decided to wait. He decided to wait. A couple of reasons. One, because my schedule. That was probably one. Two, if you know Bill, he is an avid football fan. And what's today? The start of football. We got our first football game on today. So what a way to get promoted and sit back, watch a little football, ease right into it. But what a great opportunity, and what a great day it is for Bill. Another item, walking into this museum, what an awesome setting for this, really is. And appreciation goes out to all those that worked so hard to make this the museum it is. And I was kind of scrolling down memory lane as I was walking through, looking at some of the systems there. Whenever I talk to a young crowd of officers, especially air defense officers, and I say things like chaparral, I get blank stares, and walking by it, looks like I'm still getting blank stares. It's scary. It's scary. But seeing those systems and talking to my aide about it, and I was all excited, talking about the crew drill and everything. It's truly amazing to see it all here and come here together. So if you do no other thing today, go look at the Chaparral weapon system and just try to figure out, how did they reload that thing? How did they actually torque the fins on that thing? Because it didn't come as a all around ready to go. You actually had to assemble it as part of the crew drill, which was pretty exciting. So today's a big deal. It really is. When I do promotions at the colonel and brigadier general level, I really like to start out with that because it's true. If you look at the journey it takes to get to this point in a military career, it's truly amazing. And really, I would say you really shouldn't be here. In Bill's case, that's probably compounded, not because he's not a fantastic officer, but if you look at what you have to do, the gates you have to meet, and then as I'll highlight a little later, then when you throw those curveballs in that gate, closed doors, open doors, it makes it very challenging to do. But if you just look at across the Army, Bill with the West Point, he commissioned with roughly 2,000 other lieutenants on active duty, running and ready to go. And oh, by the way, there's this whole horde of 4,000 ROTC lieutenants, hungry also, coming on to active duty. So you're looking at about 6,000 second lieutenants going to active duty, all running, all excited about, in Bill's case, excited about being a platoon leader. There's probably very few that are thinking about, hey, one day I'm going to be a general officer. I doubt Bill was one of those, just knowing Bill. He was focused on, I want to be the best lieutenant I can be. And so if you look at where we are today, 6,000, and when we selected general officers in Bill's class, it's down to roughly around 40 or so. Imagine, 6,000 all the way down. So if you look at the odds, it's not just about being a great officer. It's things happening and officers like Bill putting himself in position to get to that point. In Bill's case, well, I'll tell you why Bill was one of those that made it through the horde and actually got here being promoted to Brigadier General today. And then if you look in the Air Defense branch, roughly a few hundred or so that started that path. And then it's, when it's selected, year group is normally one, maybe two, if there's an additional requirement, but only one. So one of several here today. So I think it's important to highlight that. The military crowd really understands that. They know it because they're living it, fighting through it. But those that aren't in the military, to understand that appreciation, when you see general officers and general officers get promoted, it's that important. What a great crowd here. And it always says something about the individual getting promoted. Not that you're always judged by the number of people that show up for your promotion, but when you energize a community like this, feel great you're here in full support of people. You look across the whole community, your partner in crime, Rory being here, the other elements of Fort Sill, even the community, the mayor being here, quite powerful. And we even got Randy McIntyre out today. Randy McIntyre is big time. He only rolls out into big events. And so if Randy's here, we know it's a big event today. So Randy, great to see you, as always, as a part of this. So, my personal relationship with Bill Parker, I didn't really know Bill Parker until he came out of brigade battalion command. So I got a phone call. I'm the 94th AAMDC commander. And I get this phone call, and it's a former battalion commander that's at the War College looking for a job. And he called me. Thankful he did. But he called me and he goes, you know what, sir? I'd like to come work at 94th. It's related to the rec cycle. We've already got all that stuff done. I got my G3 filled. My chief is already filled. I really don't have a slot for you. He says, sir, I'll hand out towels at the gym if you bring me over there. And I said, really? We didn't have him handing out towels. But we put him in a job. We had a lieutenant colonel in our G5 SIG kind of job. And nothing against that lieutenant colonel, but there was an opportunity to really take it to the next level. And so I said, Bill, I'd like you to fill this job. And I know you told me how like you're willing to do anything, but I'd like you to fill this job. And, you know, normally former battalion commander, it's not a former battalion level, commander level type job. It's just normally a Tim Colonel / 06 type of job. And Bill's come in knowing he's going to get promoted to 06. And the way Bill jumped into that job and ran in essentially just from a command perspective, helped the command elevate the command was a turning point for me in this officer that connected later into his career. We'll talk a little bit about that a little later, but I'll be grateful for that. And that's the type of person we're promoting today. You know, not once did he say, hey, you know, I'm a former battalion commander, I really should be the G3 or the chief. No, I just came in and focused, worked hard, and brought great teamwork and a little levity to the team. And it was great. We kicked them out and said, hey, go all around the world. And that's why, you know, I'll tie these things in. And another thing is I talked to him. I'm going to bounce all over the place. Don't worry about it. I didn't write down any notes on this one today, so just bear with me because we're going to get there and we'll get to the end here. But I think it's truly important to really highlight kind of what's in my heart today and what you have done. And along the way, you know, when bringing him into 94th, and then as we move from 94th, that's the family component. I want to make sure I talk that piece up front in case I miss it moving forward. You know, Carrie, I knew when she got to 94th, I'd meet her, you know, her beer, her coffees, and just stuff she was doing around the community. Always a great supporter. The first thing I would always ask Bill, this is after that point, as we move forward in his career, Bill would come up to me and says, hey, I think I want to jump in and do this job. And I'll say, okay, talk to Carrie and the girls. And he'd go, let me go talk to him. And every time he came back, it was always, hey, sir, Carrie's all in. My girls are all in. They might have to do some adjustment in volleyball. You know, my daughter's got her volleyball team. She's doing well. She'll go there to DC and we'll work it out. And then I'll throw him another curveball. And he goes, yeah, we're good. So it's great to see. It's always great to see at these promotions when the family is strong and the family is out in full support, because that was one of the things Bill was adamant about all the way along the way, is the family portion of this. And to me, that's the critical component in any person's career. And thank you, Terry and your daughters, for the sacrifices moving forward. So, we're going to get there. We're long road, but we're going to get there. So, one of the things I always ask officers too, whenever it's a retirement or promotion, is what made you join the Army? What made you say, yes, I want to do this, I want to do more, myself, and volunteer for this? In Bill's case, although he told me he had great respect for the educators and the coal miners, he said that's something that he didn't want to do. He just knew that he wanted to do something different. I was like, okay, but there's a span of things outside of being a teacher or working in a coal mine that you could have done, but why the Army? Believe it or not, if you're a recruiter, take notes of this. He said when he was in the fourth grade, he picked up a book, and on that book, the front cover was a picture of a West Point officer in uniform. And he said, wow. That's truly amazing. One day I want to be standing in that uniform. Well, you got that opportunity many times, and that was it. But I think it's a little bit more than that. That might have been on the surface, but I think it's that sense of service from his parents, because being in the education, we got great respect for our educators and what they do for our nation, really building the foundation of our nation, and it's critical. We cannot do it without them. And the legacy of his family that have served in the World War II era, grandparents, something in him, and the morals and values that were built in him from the family. That's where the family component comes in to make that may build the person that he is. And that argument, he did a phenomenal job raising him, because he's an outstanding person, separating the person from the officer. And I think that's what did it. And all of that together, pulled him together, rolled him, and threw him out to West Point, and he popped out, ready to go, raring and ready to go at his first duty station, 1288, Fort Polk, Louisiana. And oh, by the way, he didn't stay at Fort Polk, he did move to Fort Bliss. But, you know, 1288 was one of those core air defense battalions. It was under 108 Brigade. I believe y'all probably turned into chaparrals and switched to Avengers somewhere, probably a little bit before your time. Well, probably the only person here. But anyway, you probably saw the pictures in headquarters as you were there. And then, you know, as 1-2 deactivated, slid over and got his first taste at the Patriot unit in 243. This, as you look at Bill's path following that, and the reason it's important, I always like to highlight, you know, the journey that the officer took as part of his promotion, because it's important. Everybody's journey is different, and it's good to hear from some of the young officers that hear that it always doesn't have to be this perfect cookie-cutter path to get you to the end state. Sometimes that change is good. In Bill's case, Bill weaved in and out of the branch. He would poke his head in for a little while, pull back out, go do something else, stick his head in, and you'll see that across his path. And normally that's not a path for success in our branch and most other branches, but Bill was adamant about doing it his way and doing what he enjoyed. And so if you look at it, after he did his lieutenant time, he went to the infantry career course. After that, he then went to back to Air Defense branch to 14488 4ID, back when we were doing the digitized division. Really set the foundation for your job now. So you had no idea that back then we were already talent management and shaping it. And so then after that, you know, Bill had an opportunity to go work in ROTC, which PMS is near and dear to my heart as a former DCG. But that, you know, that, and I know Kerry probably looked at the orange in his life. You know, he's an avid Tennessee fan. Now he's going to be a PMS at Clemson, so he is orange on top of orange on top of orange. So if you see him wearing orange, that's a little bit about it. So then after his time at Clemson, he was at a defining point in the branch, and that was a critical time in our nation, you know, heavily at war. And, you know, as he's coming out of PMS, getting away to the branch, he had the opportunity to, you know, hey, we were a predominant Patriot force at that time. All of our divisional 88, he shows back up in the branch, and what do you know, everything that he's done, majority divisional 88 is gone now. And so what is he going to do? He goes back to a division, knowing that there's not an air defense unit there, 101st. And, you know, being the officer that he is, you know, jumped right in, did perform very well, ended up being the chops for 2nd Brigade while deployed, and then ended up getting an S3 job in the STB battalion, again, outside of the branch, but continuing to carve his way and make his way through. And then it was around that time where somebody said, a great assignment officer said, hey, you know, you've been away from the branch quite a while here. We need to come get you back in the branch and squeeze a little bit out of you. And we got him over the Damo 5, Army G3. So it comes from division, working hard jobs in division, then going into the Army G3, where there's no break, especially at that time. So the first thing I said, Randy McIntyre, your boss? He said, no, not at the time. I was like, okay, you missed that opportunity. But still, great opportunity under Rob Lyons. And then at that time, went back out of the branch to Michigan State and did this in PMS. And then finally, where he then got activated for battalion command. And then that set his path back on into the air defense community. And as I highlighted, that's kind of how where we met up after he finished battalion command at War College. We met up, and then things after that started rolling. Because of his performance, the officer he is, put him in position. And then, second time cross path. So after I left 94th, I went up to the Joint Staff and the Army Staff, doing a few things, and then got into the counter-UAS world. And there's a brigade commander out there who said, hey, so I'm looking to do something outside of a tough job after brigade commander. I said, really? I was like, boy, do I have a deal for you. Why don't you come up and be my deputy at the counter UAS office? And I tell you, that was the best decision I made because what we were doing there to really change the way the care for warfare is changing, to be able to develop capability. We could not have done that job without Bill Parker as my deputy and the work that he did. I had a conversation with Honorable Bush this morning about another topic. I thought about you. You know, and it was the little things. The deputy always does the things that the commander doesn't want to do, or the director doesn't want to do. And Bill was the right person. For example, I joking about Honorable Bush. Honorable Bush and I had a few disagreements, and so Bill walked in me, sir, I got it. You know, Bill, how'd you have it? Well, I went to breakfast with him, and we talked about it, and we figured it out. Awesome. That's the type of officer, team builder, person Bill Parker is. Technically competent, has the ability to build teams, get along with people, and close more than anything. And I thank you for everything you've done for me while at 94th and in Damo Fires / JCO, and everything you've done for the Army and the branch. And now we have you in a position where arguably one of the most critical positions in our branch, in CFT, as we map our way out in this modernization effort. And as you look at the threat out there and what the threat is doing, I couldn't think of a better person to be leading the charge in the AMD CFT than Bill Parker. And after we work you for a few years, we'll eventually let you have fun and be a double AMDC commander. But I tell you, it's my honor to be here to be part of this ceremony today. And I'm excited. So I know you're probably ready like Hazel. It's been on that truck. I've been waiting long enough. So it's that time. So without further ado, let's bring up Bill Parker and let's promote him to Brigadier General. Thank you.
At this time, Colonel Parker and his family will join Lieutenant General Gainey for the promotion. All others, please remain seated. Department of the Army, Headquarters Human Resource Command, Order Number 843-76164. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of William M. Parker. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated potential for increased responsibility, he is therefore promoted in the United States Army from Colonel to Brigadier General effective 4 July 2024. When our Army began in 1775, general officers wore distinctive colored sashes indicative of their rank. In June 1780, George Washington issued an order that Brigadier Generals were to wear gold epaulets, each with a single silver star. Today, the General Officer Star remains the oldest rank insignia still worn by the officers of our armed forces. At this time, General Parker's family will pin the rank and replace the epaulets. The history of the General Officer's Belt dates back to World War II with an order by the Army Chief of Staff that the belt be issued to all general officers. The thick black leather belt with an 18-karat gold-plated buckle and an imprint of an eagle was first produced in 1944. Today, the occasion and uniform with which the belt is worn are at the discretion of the General Officer. At this time, Mrs. Sharpless will present Brigadier General Parker with the General Officer Belt. Since World War II, the Army has also issued each newly promoted general officer a sidearm for personal protection. The manufacturer of the Army Standard Service Revolver produces a special issue for general officers that has a slightly nicer finish and a serial number beginning with GO. At this time, Colonel Kurt Gessner will present Brigadier General Parker with his personal sidearm. Unloaded. Throughout the history of warfare, a general officer's personal flag has symbolized leadership on the battlefield. Master Sergeant Smith will now uncase the one-star flag, representative of an Army Brigadier General. First authorized by the War Department in August of 1903, general officer flags were used by officers of the United States Army when making official visits to Navy vessels. In 1923, the use of the flags was further expanded to include automobile flags and field office flags. In 1947, the Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel authorized all general officer flags, except Medical Corps and chaplain flags, to be scarlet with white stars. Lieutenant General Gainey will now administer the oaths of office. Please remain seated. Lieutenant General Gainey has deferred his presentation honors in honor of Brigadier General Parker's promotion. For the benefit of our distinguished guests who have not previously had the opportunity to observe the rendering of honors, it is appropriate that a brief explanation of the historical significance of this part of the ceremony be given. During this part of the ceremony, ruffles and flourishes will be played. The earliest use of ruffle and flourishes can be traced to the time of England's Lord Marlborough, who used kettle drums to announce his arrival. English colonists brought the tradition to the colonies during the French and Indian War, when 2 ruffles and present arms were given for Virginia's royal governor. In 1776, the Continental Army authorized a fife and drum unit to give 2 ruffles for a major general and 1 for a brigadier general. Current practice is to play ruffles equal to the number of stars a general officer possesses. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation honors to Brigadier General Parker. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and distinct pleasure to present to you Brigadier General William M. Parker.
Right, so unlike General Gainey, I do have notes. Otherwise, if we stand up here mumbling, and just taking way more of your time than you want to spend today. But distinguished guests, family, friends, hey, thanks for taking your valuable time out of today to come out and support Team Parker on the day where many are probably saying, how in the world did this just happen? And believe me, you know, Second Lieutenant Parker was 5 and out. What General Gainey did not tell you is that, yeah, out of all those people that graduated, yeah, I was in the bottom quarter of that. But that's okay. I'm pretty sure no one in their right mind would have doubled down in Vegas back in 1995 on ever attending an event like this. And that includes Second Lieutenant Parker. So, as an historian, you know, I really wanted to have this ceremony here, you know, to stand on the shoulders of those that really came before us. You know, wearing a uniform, you know, harkening back to the days of the greatest generation, I thought, what could be more awesome than that? But what I failed to cognitively make the connection on during my decision process was to have the event in a facility that houses the history of the branch but contains multiple systems on which I grew up on. So that really was a reminder that I'm old, so that was pretty much an epic thing. So really what I want to do today is just really say thanks to a whole slew of folks. Some specifically, some in general. You know, folks that are really responsible for this most unlikely event. First, Lieutenant General Gainey. I really want to say thanks to you for not only officiating the ceremony today, but also giving a guy a chance who was willing to hand out towels and paper. Because that actually did happen. Your mentorship, an example that meant the world to me and directly impact why we're standing here today. Watching you operate at the Army senior leader level was like a master craft work in leadership. And I got to experience that every day. So words really do not do justice, so I just simply say thank you. You know, another special thank you to my AFC leadership, General Rainey, Lieutenant General Coughlin, General Brown, and the rest of the team for trusting us in the AMD-CFT to deliver the Army of 2030 and contribute to developing the Army of 2040 for AMD capability. So there's an old saying that says it takes a village, and I think it really applies here. I'm not standing here based on what I've done as much as what I've learned from soldiers and leaders with whom I've served over the past 29 years. What I've accomplished is founded on what I've learned from you. There are far too many to name individually, so I'm not even going to try, and frankly, we'd just be here way too long. I just know that if we've served together, you are a part of who I am today, And there are high odds that you probably gave me a heck of a lot more than I gave you, so thank you for that. As General Gabe kind of laid out, I've had the honor of also serving in some incredible organizations. From Air Defense platoons, batteries, battalions, and divisions, Air Defense battalions, brigades, AAMDCs, supporting strategic missions for combatant commands and even NATO. To multiple tours in Cadet Command, to MNFI, to serving in the most lethal brigade combat team in the Army 2nd Cadet 101st Airborne Division Air Assault Strike. During some of the most trying times of both the surges in Iraq and Afghanistan. Never forget. The formative impact of this area outside the branch really hardened the foundation of who I am today. Then General Gainey mentioned the 2 rotations on the Army staff and finally the CFT. These assignments, and more importantly, the people who were there with me, drove my development and understanding of aggressiveness, empathy, the cost of what we do, hard work matters, and the combat enabler of being a good teammate. To my family, Carrie, Pixie, Billy, who can't be here but hopefully is in class right now. We're paying for it. As well as Cassie. Thanks for sticking by me and continuing to support the Army team. Through deployments, exercises, TDYs, whatever the Army threw at us. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, whether willfully or begrudgingly supporting me, you had a measurable impact on both myself and others. Now believe me, in the Parker family, you can get abject support, or you could get a swift kick in the backside and get the BS flag thrown at you. So sometimes you need a good dose of humility, and words can't describe how proud I am of each of you and how much I love you each dearly. To my parents, thanks for laying that initial foundation and the belief that hard work absolutely matters. You've been there from the beginning and have been standing by us from the beginning, so thank you. And by the way, it's not too bad for a snot-nosed kid raised just around the holler in southern Appalachia. To my aunts and uncles who are here and those that aren't, you guys have been surrogate parents to me at different points, and thank you as well. To my in-laws, same applies. Back in 2001, this Army guy shows up at your house and you welcomed me with open arms and supported us like no tomorrow. Thank you. Many thanks to this community. So I like to say, in terms of this, I feel a little like Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere, man. And I can't think of a better relationship between the community and an installation than here at Fort Sill. Your support is invaluable in what we do. And Carrie always says, grow where you're planted. While that may be true, I felt that you definitely provided the miracle grow for us to flourish. So thank you. And finally, to my CFT teammates, Joe Brooks, Protocol, the half-section salute battery for supporting this event, which again, nobody thought would probably ever happen. But you've absolutely made this special to the family and friends that we've had. And I think I would be remiss in not acknowledging, based on the events of this past week, someone who I have looked up to for many years, being a young captain, rolling around the desert at NTC, an ex-Brigadier General retired Don Fritz in his recent passing. Learned a lot about my tradecraft from that man. Learned a lot how to fight from that man, but that's what we do at the end of the day. Godspeed, soldier. Again, thanks to everyone for coming out today. You don't get to see one of these very often. It means so much to us to have this type of support, and I am honored and humbled to stand here today and in the presence of many of those with whom I've learned so much from. Thank you all. With that, I can say that, well, I really can't say that I've been brilliant, but I am heavily relying on being brief, and now I'll be gone. So, if this was baseball, 2 out of 3, that's batting over 600. That's a Hall of Fame career right there. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And again, thanks everyone for coming out. First to fire, strike, fire strong. Team Lawton Sill, forge the future, winning matters, and be all you can be.
this time, First Lieutenant Tropek from the Salute Battery is presenting Brigadier General Parker with a canister representing the first round fired in his honor as a general officer. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the Air Defense Artillery March and the Army Song. On behalf of Lieutenant General Gainey, thank you for attending today's ceremony. Brigadier General Parker and family cordially invite you to a reception which will begin shortly in the Air Defense Artillery Association Building, 747 Geronimo Road. You may congratulate Brigadier General Parker. First to fire, fire strong, people first, winning matters, be all you can be.